Welcome to this overview of the Lost+Found Editor. This editor is designed to control all parameters of the Chase Bliss Lost+Found pedal. We made two versions of the editor, a Max for Live version and a standalone version for macOS. We start off with the standalone version. This is the editor, and we can increase the size of the user interface. This way you have a better overview. We start with the Midi section of the editor, because this is the communication between the editor and the pedal. Most Chase Bliss pedals are set to Midi channel 2, so we match the output Midi channel of the editor with the pedal. My Lost+Found pedal is connected to Midi port 16 of my Midi interface. I created a Logic Pro arrangement here, where I control the Waldorf pulse as my sound source. In the background you hear the Lost+Found pedal effect. And here you can see the way I connected it. By pressing this button, you reset all parameters of the editor to the default position, and you won't hear any sound of the pedal anymore. We have several sections over here. These sections are exactly the same as the Max for Live version. You have a left side section, a mixes section, a right side section, and a RAM bound section. Then underneath you will find the clock, settings, MIDI, and preset section. These differ a bit from the Max for Live version. The preset section is not included in the Max for Live device, since Ableton Live has a different way of handling presets. What's great about the editor is that you can control all parameters of the Chase Bliss Lost+Found pedal, including all the hidden ones and the dip switches on the back of the pedal. You can also store your favorite presets into the pedal and recall them with the press of a button. But the best thing about this editor is that you can select any effect algorithm of either side of the pedal without the need to change any of the dip switches on the back. Note that the parameter names change when you change the effect algorithm. You change the effect type by turning the modify dial. At the moment we are in the orchestral swell algorithm, and the left time parameter changes to swell time. The left alt parameter controls the feedback, and the left modifier changes the pitch. But when you turn the dial, you can see that the names of the dials change accordingly. The left and right side are identical, and you can control them separately. So you can have different effects on either side or have the same effect. Note that if you press this little triangle here, you switch off the effect. But you can still use the glue function, so you can overdrive or compress the signal without effects. The default position of the EQ is 64 in the center, and then it's in neutral. If you turn it to the left, you control the low pass filter. And if you turn it to the right, you control the high pass filter. Underneath you see the controls to switch off that side of the pedal. Or you can hold the sound and then it stays there forever. Here you have the subdivision of the tempo on this side of the pedal. At the moment we don't know what the delay time is of the pedal, but we can use the clock of the editor to change the tempo of the pedal. Or you can use this tap tempo feature here, which is a bit difficult. We made a small indicator here, so you can see which tempo you tap, but it's hard to tap an accurate tempo unless you have a guide metronome or beat. However, you can also use the clock of the editor and set a specific tempo if you want. For example, 130. By pressing this editor button, it produces 10 accurate tap tempo pulses in your desired tempo and send them to the pedal. Now the tempo of the pedal is 130. The subdivision is 8 notes in this case, but let's change them to dotted 8s. Quarter notes. Note that if you change the L time parameter, it will override the global tempo of the pedal. So if you do this, the tempo has changed to something we don't know. Continuing to the mix section, You have the spill, the mix, and the volume dial. The volume dial controls the output level of the overall effect. However, as you can hear, the effect doesn't go away completely. The blend dial controls the balance between the two effect sides of the pedal. Then we have the ramp bounce section. This controls the built-in LFO of the pedal. You can control these parameters of the pedal. So the left time, the left modifier, blend, right time, and right modifier. Let's control the blend as an example, and then we switch it on. Now we can adjust the speed. We set the balance dial to left to 100% and switch on sweep top. Now we switch on the balance parameter and adjust the speed. On the bottom we have the clock section, which we already covered, but you also have the randomize function here. This will not send out the randomize CC command, which is built into the pedal. We just randomize the parameters in the editor, so you can store this as a preset if you like. If you use the randomize function, only the parameters on the top will be randomized. Everything below will not be randomized. If I press all, you can see it will randomize all parameters. Please note that it also randomizes the on-off switches, which sometimes results in no sound. The mix and volume dial will also be randomized, which can also lead to no sound, so be aware of this. You can also randomize either side of the pedal. So if you reset everything and have a reverb on one side, you can randomize the left side without affecting the right side. This is the reset button, and it will reset all parameters to the default position we have implemented. The pedal itself doesn't have a default setting, but we found this a good starting point. Please be aware that if you press reset, there will be no effect. The effect is set off, so you can start with a clean slate. This button is the resend button and it's really handy. When pressed, it will send out all current values of all parameters of the editor again. For example, if you made some nice sounds in the editor and changed the dials on the pedal itself, the parameter values of the editor and those of the pedal are out of sync. By pressing the resend button, the editor will send out all parameter values again and your pedal and editor are synced again. Also note that by pressing the resend button again, the parameter names of the current selected algorithms briefly highlight. In the settings, you will find most of the dip switches on the back of the pedal except for the program change. This function allows you to send MIDI program changes to the editor's presets so you can change the settings. So when you work with a DAW or MIDI controller, you can change the presets in time. The spread button has an extra feature. If you switch it off, there is no spread, as you can hear. Now I press this button and you can hear the left side is stereo. If I press the right side, then the right side is stereo and the left side is mono. It's off now. And if I press B, stands for both, then both sides are stereo. Please note that the settings and the MIDI port settings are always stored in the preference file in the background. So if you quit the editor and restart it again, the settings and the MIDI settings will be reinstated to the values you set them in your last session. If you want to make a preset, it's really simple. Just hover over any of the squares, there are 100 squares, and then hold Shift and click and your preset is saved. So let me first make another preset by randomize all parameters. And as you can see, I can flip between the two presets. This indicates which preset is selected at the moment. And with these two buttons, you can switch between the presets. All presets are automatically backed up onto your hard drive. So if you quit the editor and restart it again, it will reload all your stored presets. If you want to make a backup, just press Store and you can save the whole bank with a new name in a new location on your hard drive. Underneath here, you find the pedal presets. There are 122 slots in your Lost and Found pedal, but since the pedal doesn't have MIDI out, you cannot reload any of the presets you stored into the pedal back into the editor. My advice is to first store your preset in the editor and then store them in the pedal. You have 122 slots, which is great if you want to make a set list for a live performance, for example. If you want to save the current effect settings into the pedal, just select any of the 122 slots and press Save. If you want to load any of the presets stored in the pedal from the editor, just select the preset slot and press Load. Know that preset slot 0 is the live state of the pedal, so this means the current position of the dials and switches. We also have a help function here, and if you enable this and hover over any of the parameters of the editor, you will see a small description of the function of that parameter. Sometimes the description is really short and sometimes it's really detailed. Last but not least, the mapping function. We have MIDI and key mapping. If you press either, the MIDI mapping or key mapping will give you a little warning to make sure you really want to use mapping. Please remember that if you are finished with mapping, you have to press the escape button to exit mapping. But we want to use the mapping now, so we press OK. And as you can see, all the available parameters you want to map will be highlighted in blue. Now press any of the parameters you want to control, in this case via MIDI, and move your MIDI controller to map it to the specific parameter. In this case, I will use my pitch bend wheel and I press Escape. And now I can control the parameter via the pitch bend wheel. In the MIDI monitor, you can see that I'm sending pitch bend information with the current value. If you press the logo over here, it will open our product page of our website. Here you can find more details about the product, download the installation manual and check the current software version. This is the Lost and Found editor for Macs for Live. It is a MIDI device, so you need to drag it onto a MIDI track. Most Chase Bliss pedals are set to MIDI channel 2 by default, so you need to match this on the MIDI track in Ableton. Then you select the MIDI port to which your Chase Bliss Lost and Found pedal is connected to, and then you are set to go. This is the clock section. It is similar to the standalone version, but has one extra feature. It has an Ableton button and lets you match the Ableton live tempo with the pedal. It works the same way as with the editor button. When pressed, it sends out 10 tap tempo pulses to the pedal, in the same tempo as the current tempo of Ableton Live. Saving a preset is the same way as with all Macs for Live devices. You press this icon here and give your preset a name. In this case, we call it test setting. Let's make another preset by randomizing the parameters a bit and give it a new name like test2. Now if you press the hot swap button, you can flip between your presets. This concludes the overview of our Lost and Found editor for the Chase Bliss Lost and Found pedal. We hope you like the editor, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and we try to answer them as quickly as possible. Bye!